Hey y'all, are you ready for another holiday inspired meal? I'm going to be showing you how to make a white mac and cheese, pineapple and cherry ham, some baked candy yams, as well as smothered turkey. I'll also link in the description box some desserts and other side dishes that would pair great with this meal. Check out my ebook for all the holiday inspiration that you need. Trust me, you can make all your soul food Sundays and holiday meals based off this ebook. Now, today we are doing a Caucasian mac and cheese, but black people don't get mad. This is an equal opportunity kitchen, okay? You can, however, substitute any cheeses that you like, but today I'm using Swiss, extra sharp cheddar, and Munster. However, if I had it, I would have used Gouda instead of Swiss because that is one of my favorites to use, but not the smoked Gouda because, you can't really use 8 ounces of that in a mac and cheese. It just gets a little too strong. Now, the easiest way to shred your cheeses is to actually do it with a food processor. You often have a grating function and you can just shred them in seconds. To make the noodles, I'm just going to throw some bouillon and some salt and some water. I have 8 ounces of pasta and I'm going to cook that according to the package instructions. I am going to put this back on the eye, but I am not making a roux. I actually turned the eye off. But I'm going to use the residual heat just to melt the butter and the cheeses. I'm going to go in with some sour cream, full fat sour cream, okay? Not that low fat stuff for the mac and cheese. No, 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 baby. Okay, that ain't going to work. I'm then going to put in a little bit of evaporated milk and I'm just going to start to mix this together. I am going to put in my cheddar cheese and my Swiss cheese. You could just also use all white cheddar cheese. That would be fine too. And I'm going to let this mix while there's still a good amount of heat in this pan. Are you team roux or no roux for the mac and cheese? I actually grew up with an egg in my mac instead of a roux. Okay, which one do you like best? Honestly, I like both at this point. They both end up tasting fabulous. I really wanted to maintain that white color, so I was a little bit choosy about my seasonings. I put in a little garlic powder, white pepper, we're doing the white thing, okay? A little bit of Creole seasoning, though it has some red. I only put a little bit in there. I also put in a tad bit of MSG, okay? That's going to enhance the flavor. Instead of using Vegeta, you guys know I use that in my mac a lot. However, that has a yellow tint to it and I just didn't want to throw off the color. I also decided to put in some Parmesan cheese at the last minute and I put in the rest of the can of the evaporated milk. And of course, you just do your salt and your seasonings and stuff like that to taste. Then you want to mix this all together. And at this point, your mixture should be kind of cool, not cold, but definitely not hot. Okay, when you add your egg in, it cannot be hot or else you're going to scramble that egg, okay? And at that point, you bring a scrambled egg, mac and cheese, at that point, honey, I can't do nothing for you, okay? The group chat going to get blown up with, they just going to talk about you, okay, baby? If you decide to double this recipe, you can still just use 1 egg, okay? That's pretty much enough. Now, I am going to put this into my greased baking dish and I am going to top it with the Munster cheese. Oh my goodness, I just love Munster cheese. It almost has the cheese pull of mozzarella, but it has a lot more flavor. So I love that cheese and I'm going to bake this at 350 for about 20 minutes until it's nice and golden brown. And y'all, I absolutely love this Caucasian mac and cheese, baby. Let me know if you're going to try this recipe and we're going to get started on this beautiful holiday ham. You guys will love this, and this is so easy to make. For starters, I have a 9-pound smoked spiralized ham. I think getting it spiralized is the easiest thing to do for the home cook. I ain't trying to mess with all that cutting. All right, so to get started, I have a ring of pineapples. I also have these little Marsuccio, y'all know those little cherries y'all be putting on the ice cream, okay? I have some cloves, and I am going to be stuffing the slices of this ham with these pineapple rings. This is going to make the ham super juicy and super tasty. Now, to put them in between the slices, you're just going to take those rings and break them in half. I'm also going to take those cherries and I'm going to push some of them down deep, okay, down deep up in there. And then other ones I am going to sort of put on the edge. Any of the pineapples and the cherries that you put more on the edge of the slices, they're going to get caramelized and they're going to bring out a really great flavor. So do a little bit of both, okay? Then I am going to use cloves and I'm just going to stick them all around the slices of the ham. Now I feel like cloves are a must whenever you're making a ham. And I know some of y'all, the only time y'all use cloves is when you're making ham, okay? But I think it's definitely something you need to have that nice holiday flavor. I'm also going to be using toothpicks just to secure some of the slices. I don't want it to become too droopy, so I'm just going to I'm going to use the toothpicks to help me keep in the pineapples and the cherries. Now put the cloves however you want them, but on the back, sometimes it's really not sliced. So I'm going to take my chef knife and I'm going to score it. I'm going to go down a couple of times on the diagonal in one direction, and then I will flip my knife and I will go the other direction just to make this nice little pattern. This is going to be so that I can stick my cloves in there and get that flavor and aroma in the back. Y'all know we eat all the sides of the meat. We eat in the front, we eat in the back. All right, so you want to go in and you want to flavor this side as well. Now you guys tell me, how do you guys prepare your holiday ham? Are you guys using cloves? Are you using allspice? Now I am going to go in and put my cherries and my pineapples together in a cute decorative pattern. Like, isn't that the point of having a ham? Like, it is so cute. So I'm going to take my pineapple rings and I'm going to take my cherries and I'm just going to stick them all around the place. Now with my ham all prepared, I am going to cover it up with foil and I'm going to push this into a 325-degree oven for an hour and a half. This is going to make sure that the ham is evenly heated. To make sure that the ham does not dry out, I have saved the juice from the pineapple. I use 2 cans of the pineapple rings, so that's why you see 2 cups of juice. I'm putting 1 cup of juice into the bottom of this baking dish. I'm going to cover it, and then I'm going to bake it for an hour and a half. If you have a larger ham, you could even do up to 2 hours. Remember, the ham's already cooked. We're just heating it up, okay? So now we're going to go in and make a glaze. I have 4 tablespoons of salted butter, and to that I'm going to put a half of a cup of honey because this is a honey glazed ham, okay? I'm then going to add a cup and a half of brown sugar, as well as about 1/4 of a cup of the pineapple juice and 1/4 of a cup of the juice from the cherries. I'm putting cinnamon and a little bit of ginger in mine, and I also like to put 2 tablespoons of Dijon mustard. It will not make a strong mustard taste, but it will complement the sweetness of the fruits. I'm using about 1/8 of a teaspoon of nutmeg and just a little pinch of salt to balance out that sweetness, and I'm going to cook this until everything is melted. Now my ham is now thoroughly heated and I'm going to first baste it with a turkey baster. You want to make sure the ham doesn't dry out, so just go in there and put this pineapple juice has been at the bottom all between the slices to make sure it doesn't dry out. I'm then going to begin to glaze the ham. Now this glaze is super delicious. And do y'all just see how this river of glaze is just coming down this ham? Oh my goodness. And you also want to make sure that you get the pineapple rings because you want those to caramelize. To step up the flavor, I even take my turkey baster and I actually inject the glaze in between all of the slices. This is going to make sure you get that flavor all up in the ham. Now this part is totally optional, but I like to take out some of the juice that is at the bottom. And I like to actually reduce it just for about 10 minutes on the stove so that when I go in to baste, the glaze is just a little bit thicker. But this is optional. You don't have to do this, okay? Now my ham has been baking at 400 degrees for 10 minutes uncovered. I'm then going to go in with the basting liquid that I have and I'm going to put it all over the ham slices as well as in between the slices. Basting is super important at this stage because you don't want it to dry out, but you want it to caramelize. I let mine cook for about 25 minutes at 400 and I just baste it in total about every 5 minutes. And then you will have this beautiful ham. This is perfect paired with some homemade rolls. So I will link a recipe for that in the description box. And we're going to start on this smothered turkey. Sometimes you just don't want to work with a whole bird. And so this is the perfect recipe for you. Let's go ahead and get cooking. Here I have about 2.5 pounds of turkey wings. I've already cut them and I've cleaned them, and I have them in a 9 by 13 inch baking dish. And now to season our turkey wings, I have about 2 tablespoons of dry ranch seasoning mix. This is like the type you might get in like the dressing packets, and I'm gonna put about half of it on the top side of the turkey. I also have a 1.5 teaspoons of mixed herbs, as well as a teaspoon of chicken bouillon. This is like that Maggi powder bouillon. I'm going in with some garlic powder, and now really for the rest of these seasonings, y'all just got to put it on there till the meat is covered. Okay, so this is onion powder, this is some Badia complete seasoning. Honestly, most of the seasoning I'm picking don't have very much salt other than the seasoning salt itself, so you can be generous. Don't get too crazy with the smoked paprika, okay? It has a strong flavor, so just a little bit, and just a little bit of cayenne on there is fine because you don't want it to be too spicy, but the warmth from the cayenne brings out the other flavors. Now, optionally, you can also go in with a little bit of a pre-made Cajun seasoning. This is a salt-free Cajun seasoning, and for my salt, I'm actually going to use seasoning salt, and you're just going to do that to taste. Now I'm going to go in with my melted butter flavored herb butter mixture that is so delicious, and I'm going to pour that on the top of each piece of turkey. Now, it is really important that you do use butter or some sort of fat in this recipe because, as you know, turkey is really lean. So you need that fat in order to keep the moisture in so your turkey don't be dry. Okay, you know, don't nobody like no dry turkey. Okay, so go ahead and rub it down, baby. And I'm going to take some of those little butter, and I'm just going to shove it into like little pockets of the turkey so that as it cooks, it can baste that turkey and keep it super moist. Now, I'm going in with the other part of the ranch packet because I only used half on the front, and I'm going to season that back. Okay, because y'all know we eat the front and the back of that food. Okay, so give it a little love. Okay, I'm putting a little ranch on there. I'm putting a little onion powder, a little garlic powder, and just a little bit of that seasoning salt. Now I'm going in with those onion rings, and I'm just going to spread them out all over the pieces of the turkey. Now I have about 1.5 cups of chicken broth. I'm going to pour this all over the pan because you need that chicken broth to help make that turkey very tender and succulent, okay? So just pour it around. I'm going to cover it with foil, and I'm going to cook it covered for 1.5 hours at 425 degrees. You need to cover it tight so you can trap that steam. Now, once my turkey is ready, I'm going to take 1/2 cup of water and about a tablespoon of cornstarch. You want to use as much cornstarch as you prefer to get the thickness on that gravy. I don't like mine to be extremely thick, so about 2 teaspoons to use in about 1 tablespoon is generally what I like. You could always go in and add more if you don't put enough, but it's hard to correct when you add too much. So start out with less and then stir it around. Now I'm actually going to put this back in the oven uncovered for about 10 minutes. I'm going to broil it, and I'm going to keep turning the turkey until the turkey has the color that I like. Now at this point I put on the peppers because I want the peppers to still maintain that crunch. So it's really only going to be warmed up in the oven as I broil and brown the turkey. Now that it is finished, our turkey is very succulent. It's really tender. The red peppers still have their beautiful, vibrant flavor, and you have this delicious gravy. Honey, are you going to try this? One recipe I know you need to try is for sure these baked candy yams. Now, these are a star. There is so much flavor in them. I add a couple of special ingredients to make them different. Honey, if you bring this recipe to the potluck, the aunties and the grandmamas gonna put some respect on your name. Do you hear me? I have 4 large yams, aka sweet potatoes in the South. We call them both. I know some of y'all gonna come on here talking about how, it's really a sweet potato, not a yam. But if you know what I'm talking about, if you use both terms, go ahead and drop a yam emoji in the comments. Now I'm going to clean them very well, and then I'm going to peel them and give them a nice final rinse, because baby, you don't want no dirt or nothing, but black spots all up on your candy yams, or else, The auntie that always got something to say, she gonna be talking about you. Y'all know that one. Okay. Now I am going to go ahead and start cutting them into about 1/4 of an inch rounds. I don't want them too thick, but I don't want them too thin either. So try to get something about this size. If you get to the end and there's a weird part, just cut that in half and just keep slicing. All right. Doesn't really matter as long as they're roughly the same size. Since I'm country, I'm going to use 1 whole stick of butter. But if you're watching your waistline, you can do a 1/2 stick. Into this, I'm going to put 3/4 of a cup of brown sugar. And you could also go ahead and add in 1/4 of a cup of white sugar. You'll see me add it later because I forgot it here. Now I'm going to melt this, and then I'm going to go in with about 2 teaspoons of vanilla and one of my first ingredients that I like to add, which is a little bit of orange extract. Okay, that will really bring out the flavor in the yams. I'm also going in with cinnamon, ginger, and nutmeg. Okay, they're going to add a great flavor. So I like to use more than just cinnamon because, that nutmeg has a different depth of flavor than cinnamon alone. Now, I'm also going to throw in, a little bit of rum. Okay, about 1/4 a cup. Now, this is the real deal, not extract. That is going to take your yams to another level. However, if you just want the traditional Southern flavor, you can just add vanilla extract, maybe about a tablespoon, a little bit of lemon extract, and leave out the rum. Okay? Now I'm going to put in about half of the yams, and then I'm going to pour on about half of that nice, delicious syrup. I'm going to start to mix this around just to make it a little easier when I add in the rest of the yams and the syrup. Now I am going to go ahead and cover this, and I'm going to place this in a 350-degree oven for 30 minutes. Then I am actually going to just mix up the yams. You're going to see that they've let off a little bit of water, but it's going to be a little bit dry at the top. So I like to mix them around. I do not add any water to my yams for this reason, because they are going to produce their own water. Now I've put them back in the oven for about 45 more minutes, and I'm actually going to end up using a turkey baster just to take some of the juices, and I'm just going to baste it again. Then I'm going to cover it, and I'm just going to let them cook until they are soft. In total, mine had to cook about 1 hour and 30 minutes for them to be completely soft. Now, it could take a little bit longer for you, but the good thing about yams is that they don't take up a lot of room, so you can have other things cooking in the oven. Now, I'm going to add that 1/4 a cup of sugar that I meant to put on earlier. I'm going to mix it around, and then I'm going to let it cook uncovered for about 10 minutes so that the syrup can get nice and thick. I hope you guys enjoyed these recipes and that this video is a great resource for you while you're cooking, just to give you some ideas and a nice cook with me. Guys, I love you and Jesus loves you, and I'll see you next time in Kamira's Kitchen. Goodbye and God bless.